What is up, everyone? I'm Rusty, your Halloween horror host. This October will be special. I will be posting a few extra videos and focusing on stories and decks built around Halloween themes. Don't worry, these decks are fully functional and very powerful. I don't sacrifice function for flavor, I'm a master at both. Also, all the stories we'll be talking about are magic related. This video will be about a comic I actually own in paper. It's called Fallen Angel. It's a story from the Legend set. I will summarize the comic, then build a deck around it. Deck link will be down below. If you want to skip the story and get to the unique deck, timestamps will be down below as well. I will also include a free link to the comic down below. Now, let's jump into it. I just want to start a shout out to Nancy Collins, who wrote this, and Richard Kane Ferguson, who was the main artist. The art in this is surreal, it's haunting. That's why I like it. It's so beautiful. Now, if you don't, you probably heard Richard Kane Ferguson's name before. He's the original artist of Dak and Blackblade in the Legend set, but the art just sets the horrific, desperate mood of the story. The story starts with a description of the Sarah Angels. Throughout the multiverse, no creature is both feared and revered like the Sarah Angels, warrior spirits composed from white mana. They are both immortal and eternal. They fight tirelessly for those they deem worthy of their aid. Any mortal who would count their patronage must be noble in heart, otherwise, the Sarah Angel would turn their fierce swords against them. For these heavenly creatures embody both purity and fury. But the hand of man can corrupt even a Sarah Angel. On Dominaria, on the continent of Corandor, warlords fight an epic battle in the White Woods. Medek Iron Fist achieves his objective. He captures the wizard's school. Zarl, the wizard helping Iron Fist, warns him of School's power. Zarl reveals that he knows the power of School because he was the spell squire for him. What a betrayal. When he's captured, School is furious to see that Zarl was helping them. He says, "I should have left you to pimp out your mother to the onion farmer." Dang, he's clearly a red mage, because that is some burn damage right there. Now, School summons a Sarah Angel for his captors. Then they unalive the wizard with a little poke through the heart. The Sarah Angel's name is Trine. She calls out, saying who summoned her for the battle. Mandek Iron Fist claims it was him, but Trine took one look at him and saw pure evil. Zarl approaches the angel from behind and places the horned halo on her head. She explodes in a fiery mass. Zarl revels in this act of evil. This act of horror is beautiful to him. She is standing before them covered in fire, a corrupted form of innocence. And what arises from the fire is a bound angel. Zarl offers the warlord's nephew as a sacrifice to get things going, angering him but appeasing the requirements for the fallen angel. The confidence of the Sarah Angel lets Iron Fist move his army to attack the city of Gan. The human army battles fiercely. They all have blood placed on their forehead to show the angel which person is on which side. But the issue is that Iron Fist's army is undisciplined and wouldn't be good at sieging the city. That's why this Sarah Angel gave them confidence. Luckily, as the battle starts, the fallen angel rips through the enemy, their screams and her laughter mixing together. The walls of Gan stood for millennia, but they meant nothing to the fallen angel. She devours the citizens as they cried for their gods, with a single minded purpose of a shark, no respite or mercy. She powers up by consuming them body and soul. She beat the Gan people in 100 breaths, the death of a whole race in moments. It was 100,456 souls. Iron Fist cheers it on, saying that he can't believe he possesses such power. But Zarl reminds him that he doesn't actually have Trine, the fallen angel. He, Zarl, has it, and to act accordingly. Due to the fallen angel's effectiveness, the city was basically untouched. It was just covered with corpses, and Iron Fist actually moved in. It became the city from which they'd grow their empire. Zarl got a keep in the North Mountains known as Angel's Keep. Some of Zarl's backstory is revealed. His mom was apparently a temple harlot and eventually got them expelled from the temple for stealing. He had a baby sister, but 2 weeks after being expelled, she was eaten by wolf rats. He would go around the streets asking if anyone wanted to worship with his mom for money. What? This comic is so dark. That's when he was actually met by School the wizard that he eventually betrayed. Thus, he went from Zarl Horson to Zarl Angel Keeper, from beggar to the most powerful man on the continent. People came from all around to get his boon. They wanted to use his fallen angel. He and his angel had a price, though. He liked riches, artifacts, and women, so you needed to give him those before you can even talk to the angel. And then the fallen angel wanted flesh, blood, and souls. A man named Rurik requests the destruction of his enemy, the Karaeans. Trine requires 3 dozen of his countrymen to destroy his enemies. And of course, Rourke brought 3 dozen peasants to sacrifice. It even says it's funny how only the poor are sacrificed. The rich never find themselves coming over to Angel's Keep. It's because, they can't really fight back. So I don't really understand the pricing system of the fallen angel. If you want souls, destroy all his enemies, take all their souls. What does 3 dozen peasants really do for you? As the 36 peasants were carried off, one caught Zarl's eye. It was a girl. He said, "Hey, will you marry me?" She says, "Yes," joining his many wives. Now, Rurik was actually upset by this because now he only had 35 sacrifices. But Zarl said, "Well, wait a minute. You're a countryman of your own country. You can join them, be the 36th sacrifice." He was unhappy about it, but he really had no choice. Now, this brings some kind of justice to the situation, but not really. Zarl had 27 wives and nearly 300 kids. He'd marry them off to gain power. But by the time he was 50, he started using magic to prolong his natural life. As Zarl is living the life of luxury, his fallen angel is dreaming in her chambers of her sisters, and she cries tears of blood. She seems to remember herself before she turned, or at least subconsciously. If asked, she would state she has always been this way and has no memory of her former life. One day, Zarl is brought one of his great-great-grandchildren named Eskel. Zarl takes Eskel as his spell squire, and the spell squire grows in power and ability. Now, Zarl starts to take him around the fallen angel, which is uncommon for him. He's been very possessive of her, doesn't let anyone talk or see her unless they're trying to pay him. And he actually gets jealous when Eskel sees him and is like, "Hey, we gotta go, we gotta go." But 346 years after the angel falls to him, Zarl begins to have a heart attack. On his deathbed, Zarl tells Eskel that he needs to become a planeswalker so he doesn't grow old and die like him. Back then, planeswalkers were basically gods, so he was right. I'd be interested to know how he knows about planeswalkers, but he's been around centuries, so maybe he just came across a few. But Eskel was like, "Shut up, old man. Tell me the dang spell to bind the angel, because you're dying, and then the spell will be dissolved. I need to know how to do that." But Zarl refuses, dying with a secret on his lips. He didn't want anyone to possess his angel. Trine, the fallen angel, emerges from the keep and flies away, no longer bound by any mortal. She even proclaims, "Zarl, why did you trap me? What did you do to me?" Eskel feels it is his responsibility to recapture her. She feels hunger that cannot be sedated, and he fears she will destroy all of Dominaria. Eskel summons his own angel. Her name is Rahil. Rahil almost immediately engages Trine through battle fierce. At first, Rahil doesn't recognize the abomination that is the fallen angel. Then she sees that this fallen angel, is her sister Trine. She calls her name, which causes a major angry reaction from Trine. Subconsciously, I think she knows that she is a horrible abomination and a pale reflection of her former self, and this subconsciously angers her. Trine consumes souls throughout the battle to power herself up. Rahil vows to not let her taint herself by hurting any more innocent life. Trine actually gets her wings cut off by Rahil. She calls out Rahil's name, and Rahil says, "If you don't know me and we have no relation, how do you know my name?" And then the dreams come back to the fallen angel. She lets herself fall to Rahil's sword. For the first time in 346 years, the curtain of rage and hunger and madness that cloak Trine's mind begins to lift. Although Rahil kills her sister, she really freed her. The horned halo fell off the angel's head as she fell to the ground, returning her to her appearance of her true self. Rahil called on her fellow Sarah angels from heaven to take her body back to their home. A horde of angels filled the sky, bathed Trine's body in their tears, combed her hair, and prepared her for the return to Sarah's realm. It's one of the most beautiful moments I've ever seen in a comic. But for whatever reason, the art for this particular page is almost just sketches. It's not the same art that we've seen throughout the whole comic. It's kind of weird. The battle is done. Rahil goes back to her summoner, Eskel, and blinds him. She states it's from the crimes of his great great grandfather he has to pay for him. It's unfair but just, in her opinion. She tells him to remember what he learned today. But to be honest, I feel like he did everything right. He shouldn't be punished for his crazy great great grandfather's crimes. That's insane to me. I, but angels are different. I guess they have different standards. Now, he says he can see without sight now and becomes a planeswalker just like his great great grandfather wanted him to. He's known as Eskel the White, the most beloved planeswalker to walk on Dominaria. And he always wondered, where did that horned halo go? The item that could corrupt an angel. Perhaps it's better that he never found it. I really enjoyed the story of this video. I really like this comic. Not only is the art great, but the concept is great. The corruption of the innocent is a common trope in many stories, especially horror movies. For example, The Exorcist. It's an innocent girl that gets corrupted by a demon. The Nun. A demon takes the form of what should be holy, a nun. And the list goes on. I think I really like magic stories before back in the day because there were ramifications for actions, unlike there are now. And everyone was kind of evil in their own way, but it was like in a selfish, relatable way. Now, obviously, don't summon angels and corrupt them. I would never advocate for that. But he was poor and he just wanted to gain power, so he never had to live like that. That's a relatable thing. It's awful the way he went about it. And the only good person in this whole thing, in my opinion, is his great great grandson, Esquil. He became a planeswalker that everyone loves. We don't have a card for him, unfortunately, but still, he at least something good came out of it. I do think it was kind of a jerk move for that angel to blind him, but maybe she knew blinding him would help him become the planeswalker that he's meant to be. We'll never know. Now, onto the deck. The whole story is based around Fallen Angel, obviously, which is a card in Legends. It is a 5 mana black angel with flying and can sacrifice a creature to Fallen Angel to give it +2/+1 until end of turn. And she's a 3/3. So, this is a great representation of the comic. She requires a sacrifice for power. The more blood sacrifice, the more power. That leans us towards aristocrats, but it is also an angel, so I kind of wanted to make it an angel aristocrat deck with the goal of sacrificing creatures to recur them back with angels and enchantments. Shilgengar, Sire of Famine, is a good commander for this theme. He is a 5 mana black legendary creature, Elder Demon. Has flying. You sacrifice another creature, create a blood token. If you sacrifice an angel this way, create a number of blood tokens equal to its toughness instead. Then you can pay 3 Orzhov hybrid mana to sacrifice 6 blood tokens. Return each creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality count on it. These creatures are vampires in addition to their other types, and it's a 6/6. Now, his lore is pretty interesting. He's from Innistrad. He is the demon that Edgar Markov went to make the vampire curse. It wasn't naturally on Innistrad. The demon helped make it, and he did it by sacrificing an angel, and they drank the angel's blood. It's pretty cool. We will be using a lot of angels to fill the Sarah angels ranks here. Remember, they all came down from the sky to save Thrine, the fallen angel. You got Angel of Indemnity. It's a 6 mana white angel warrior. As flying and lifelink, when she enters the battlefield, return target permanent card with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It has Encore for 8, and it's a 5/5. So it's doing that recurring. We're going to recur as much as we can in this deck. Wraithkeeper Seraph is a 6 mana white angel, has flying and soulbound. Soulbound's not an ability you see that often. Basically, it can pair with another creature if it's unpaired. So, as long as Breathkeeper Seraph is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has. When this creature dies, you may return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next upkeep. It's a 4/4. So, as long as this is paired with the Fallen Angel, she can bring her sister back to her original form. I really like it. Now, for fun, I threw in the Emeria package, what I call the Emeria package. It's based around the Emeria, the Sky Ruin. It's a land that comes in tapped, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 7 or more planes, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then taps for white mana. So you can also copy it with stuff like Vesuva and Thespian Stage. And then you can even run Emeria Shepherd, which is a 7 mana white angel, as flying and a landfall ability that says when a land comes into the battlefield under your control, you may return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And if it's a land as a plains, you may return that non-land permanent card to the battlefield instead. It's a 4/4. So for this deck, we want to make our mana base built around plains more, which is not going to be a hindrance. All of our angels, except for Fallen Angel, are white, which fits the lore. Now, you can play dual lands with the basic land types, kind of like Godless Shrine, Scrubland, whatever you want. There are actually a series of cards I've wanted to build around for a while that just naturally, every upkeep will bring something back from the graveyard. And Amiria obviously does that, but with a plains requirement. There are cards that don't have any requirements, like Rhea Dawnbringer. She's a 9 mana legendary white angel with flying, and she can return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield at your upkeep. Then you got stuff like Virtue of Persistence. It's a 7 mana black enchantment that returns a creature from any graveyard at your upkeep to your battlefield. And then you got Debtor's Kneel. It's a 7 mana Orzhov enchantment that also brings any creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield under your control. So you probably see the pattern here. We're in our Angel Aristocrats deck. Obviously, Aristocrats means we're going to be sacrificing. Our commander sacrifices things, for example. And then we're going to bring back one, two, three, even more creatures every upkeep. Outside of Fallen Angel in our commander, how are we going to get stuff in our graveyard? Well, we have many ways to do that. In black, milling and is actually pretty common. It's probably the second best milling color in all of Magic. You got Ripples of Undeath. It's a 2 mana black enchantment. At the beginning of your pre combat man phase, mill 3 cards. Then you may pay 1 generic and 3 life, and if you do, you put a card from among them into your hand. And then you got stuff, a lot of utility creatures that sacrifice themselves, like Tragic Poet. It's a 1 white human creature. You tap it, sacrifice it, return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. It's a 1/1. We are going to have a lot of enchantments in here that just naturally recur things like Debtor's Kneel and Virtue of Persistence. So getting those back will be really important. Discarding is another way to get creatures in our graveyard. Cycling does this, and there are a series of creatures that actually cycle for planes, so they help our Emeria package. You got Timeless Dragon, it's a 5 mana white dragon with flying and planeswalk cycling for 2. and then it has internalized for 4, and it's a 5/5. So for 2 mana, you search your library for planes, any planes by the way, not a basic, and you put it into your hand. So it can get all your dual lands that have a planes subtype. It's pretty good. Then you got Key of the City kind of effects where you discard something for a benefit. For example, it's a 2 mana artifact. You tap it, discard a card. Up to one target creature can't be blocked this turn. Then, whenever this artifact becomes untapped, you may pay 2, and if you do, you draw the card. So, if we sacrifice a bunch of stuff to our Fallen Angel, we can then make it unblockable, even if they have Flyer, and swing in for damage. Our removal and mana ramp will be heavily ETB effects, because sacrificing and recurring them is akin to blinking them. Lorn of the Third Path is a 3 mana legendary creature, human artificer with vigilance. When it ETBs, you destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment. Then you can tap her, you and target opponent each draw a card. And the Knight of the White Orchid, you probably have seen this. It's a pretty commonly played mono white land ramp. It searches for a land if your opponent controls more land than you and puts it into play. We're going to be using a lot of effects like that. That way, when we recur them, we get more. And I just love his art, how he's a lion, but he doesn't have claws. He has hoof prints. The people in Bant, the lions in Bant, actually are supposed to be steeds, so they give them the essentially the feet of steeds and then the bodies of lions. Inspiring Overseer has an ETB that draws you cards, and it also is an angel and it gains you life when it ETBs. Then you got, since you're making tokens, you're making blood tokens with your commander, you can put something like Idol of Oblivion. It's a 2 mana artifact. You tap it to draw a card, but only if you've made a token this turn. Then you can pay 8, tap it, sacrifice Idol of Oblivion to create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. So it's just good card draw. You're going to have plenty of options for card draw. Black does card draw pretty well, and white's starting to do it pretty good. Now, our commander we mentioned is a sack outlet. However, there are other things it can do. You can pay 3 mana to recur all creatures from your graveyard. Now, they come in with finality counters on it. And if you've watched any of my older videos, you probably know I hate finality counters. It's a super lame thing. It's a way to weaken the power of cards. However, we can get around it pretty easily. You can play stuff that remove the counters. That way, when you sacrifice them again, bing bada boom, they don't get exiled. Thief of Blood does that, for example. Thief of Blood is a 6 mana black vampire with flying, and when it ETBs, remove all counters from all permanents. And then she enters with a +1/+1 counter on her for each counter removed this way, and it's a 1/1. So if you actually bring her back with your commander's ability, it almost creates an infinite sack loop, assuming you have the mana for it, as long as you have the mana. I guess it's not infinite, but you can bring them all back. Thief of Blood removes all the finality counters, sacrifice them all, pay another 3, do it again, keep doing that just to rack up the blood tokens. Now, you also have Nesting Grounds. It's a land that you can tap for colorless, or you can pay 1, tap it, remove a counter from target permanent you control onto another target permanent, only activate as a sorcery. So you can take your finality counter on and put it on one of your opponents. So when they die, they're actually removed. As I said, we're kind of blinking by sacrificing and recurring. It will be a huge theme in the deck. However, you can actually build more around that part. You can put more second sun effects, is what I call them. They're effects that bring stuff back after they died this turn back to the field. You can use Cosmic Intervention, for example. It's a 4 mana white instant. If a permanent you control will be put into the graveyard from the battlefield this way, exile it instead. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, and it's foretell for 2. Then you got stuff that mass blinks like Eerie Interlude that you can put in here. I like these effects because they also protect your board. If they do Farewell, which is one of the most common white board wipes now, it's a brutal card. You can play Eerie Interlude. It exiles any number of creatures you control, and then when you return those to the battlefield under their owner's control at the next end step. And I believe that also gets rid of finality counters. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really enjoy telling Magic the Gathering stories, and I love Halloween. As I said, I'll be posting a few extra videos this month, and I hope you stick around and check them out for all the spooky things I will be putting out. I do have a Patreon. You can join it for free. It has a Discord. Feel free to check it out. I'd love to talk to you guys. Until next time.